First at 11, meteorologist Clayton Stiver here with me in the Weather Center, and hard to believe we made it till March, almost midway through March.
With 9 days above 70, unreal, right?
I know, and now we're talking about really what could be a first big storm of the season.
Yeah, and this is actually the first time, Matt, that the National Weather Service has issued winter storm warnings and winter storm watches for the NBC 29 viewing area for this entire season. So it looks like we're going to have impacts, although we might not get the most extreme impacts from the storm. That may be further north across portions of the Northeast and New England, but still issues. So let's talk about the latest, and I want to talk about the computer models first off, because we've had issues with these models kind of differing run to run and between the models themselves with the amounts. Just to give you a better perspective, check this out for Charlottesville. This is some of the latest data that's just come in for the NAM. It's only showing 2 inches, the European 3 inches, but then you have the GFS nearly 10 inches. Our in-house RPM model has just come in suggesting just over 9 inches there, and kind of a similar case with the valley with this variability, although maybe a little bit closer with the numbers here. The GFS showing 10 inches. They get the European kind of on the low side there at 4 inches. 8 inches or just over that for the NAM and the RPM model. So some of this has to do with the exact track that the low center takes, the storm center off the coast, and then also maybe dealing with some issues here with some mixing of sleet, rain, freezing rain, especially east of the Blue Ridge. So my latest thinking, a lot of folks 3 to 6 inches, certainly the Central Virginia foothills. You go north and west of there, the mountains, the valley, the potential for greater than 6 inches. Lower amounts perhaps as you work your way deeper south and east across the Piedmont. This all kind of gets going between 5 and 8 o'clock on Monday evening, initially as some rain transitioning over to snow as we go through the overnight hours, but then maybe some of that mixing with the ice and rain for folks east of the Blue Ridge. I think it wraps up by 11 a.m. Tuesday. Temperatures running close to 32, so a wet snow. The wind's not too gusty, so I'm not that concerned about power outage issues, maybe a few there, but to slick travel, definitely a good possibility, certainly untreated roadways for our Tuesday morning commute. We'll track this all hour by hour with Futurecast coming up in a bit. Take a look at the expected snowfall totals map. Stick around, I'll send it back to Matt.
Thanks.
Whitewater kayaker here had me quite excited. Hope you do well, folks, as we get set to start a new week. We have big things to track. We're talking this coastal storm nor'easter, and right now it's the calm before the storm tonight. It's pretty quiet for us, just cold out there. Temperatures in the low and middle 30s on the WeatherBug Network with light breezes. High pressure has our back right now just to our north. It's going to be moving off the coast overnight. We have a weak system that moved by earlier to our south today, brought some snow to North Carolina. That is not the one, though, that becomes this eventual nor'easter. That is just starting to take shape, actually tracking this piece of energy here out across the nation's midsection. That's moving eastward. And as it does so, it's going to pick up some Gulf of Mexico moisture, some Atlantic moisture, and start to develop this coastal low, transfer its energy to a coastal low off the Carolinas as we get into Monday. And then that moves up the eastern seaboard, off the northeast coast Monday night into Tuesday, and really bombs out, if you will. It's actually a term in meteorology called bombogenesis, when these lows deepen and strengthen rapidly, becoming this full-fledged nor'easter. And that will mean the most extreme impacts come across portions of the Northeast, but that doesn't mean we're not going to see anything here in Central Virginia and the Shenandoah Valley. We still have the potential to see some accumulating snow and maybe even a little bit of ice as well, although I'm not too concerned about ice accumulation. This is going to be mostly a potential for a wet, slushy snow accumulation. So let's walk you through it on Futurecast overnight into 7 a.m. Monday morning here, starting off in the 20s, the clear skies, but we'll see thickening and increasing clouds as we work through your day. Now, here we are at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and we can see temperatures well into the 40s. So any moisture that initially works in, I think it's going to be too warm for any accumulations, and actually just some plain old rain showers, especially east of the Blue Ridge. But we'll see that mixing with and changing over to snow as we go into the nighttime hours. Here we are at 9 o'clock. Those temperatures are really cooling now back into the 30s. But then as we go through the overnight, some warmer air tries to work in aloft, and that allows for maybe that mixing or a change over to some sleet or freezing rain, maybe even plain old rain, especially the further east you go, getting into portions of the Piedmont. So we'll have to watch and see where exactly that transition line sets up shop, because that can make for those big differences in the snowfall totals. Then we get to first thing Tuesday morning, maybe still dealing with some snow. Temperatures running either side of 30. I think probably by 10, 11 a.m. this is done for good. We might see some clearing sky later in the day on our Tuesday, maybe still a spot flurry or a rain shower, but nothing that should amount to a whole lot. And temperatures actually getting up to either side of 40 there Tuesday afternoon, so that would help to melt away any accumulation. So my latest thinking for amounts, going to say the Blue Ridge Mountains right now, the Shenandoah Valley I-81 corridor, and then northern reaches here, Greene, Madison, Culpeper counties, you're in that 6 to maybe as high as 9-inch zone. You go south and east of there, Charlottesville, Palmyra, Louisa, Livingston, 3 to as high as 6 inches. And then the further south and east you go, you get well down into Buckingham, east eastern Fluvanna-Louisa County, that's where it's only 1 to 3 inches. You see that sharp gradient, so a slight fluctuation there could make for some big differences in those numbers. Definitely still uncertainty there, so stay tuned. A look at your computer forecast for Tuesday. I think the greatest impacts will be across that I-81 corridor. We expect some of those highest amounts there in the valley with some slush. Elsewhere, 29. Certainly northern spots there. That's where you're talking some spotty slush as that snow will be tapering off. So your 7-day forecast tracking this storm to start the upcoming week. Look at Wednesday. Windy, sunny, very cold, a high of only 34. Wind chill values down in the teens. 39 on Thursday, lighter winds and sunny, and then a slow warm-up through St. Patty's Day and next weekend. Maybe some showers for your Saturday. Back in the 50s and sunny by Sunday. We'll be right back.